Hello and welcome back to the Female Revolution. My
Woohoo!
name is Sue and I am here with my friend
Jen. Jen.
Jen, and
Yes.
we are talking today about reconditioning.
Mhm.
And we're not just talking about your hair or
Which is
your
funny. I
skin.
no, I love it that you said that because literally my first line that Sue and I have not discussed, by the way, this is intuition working. I go, instead of doing a hair mask, we are doing a hair detox, but for the soul.
Ooh. Ooh, you could go even deeper and say we're actually removing our masks.
Oh my God,
I
girl.
know.
Oh, it's so good.
Stop with the awesome.
Everybody just, oh my God, we went down a rabbit hole, everyone. I'm sorry. This is how we are though, when we're not on camera or on like,
True story.
audio, like we are this weird. Just so if
Yeah.
you were ever wondering, nope, this is really what it's like. The magic
Mhm.
that it is. So deconditioning. Let's talk for a sec. We're going to talk in a sec. We're going to talk about letting go of those old ideas. First, let's introduce our song of the day. Okay. Our song of
Okay.
the episode, I should say, because we kind of batch record. So today we're going to talk about, this is one of my very favorite female anthems, literally of all time. I could literally probably sing the entire thing to you, which I will not kill you all with, but I could. Okay. This song is called Round Hole by
I
Rebecca
knew
Brunner.
it.
Okay,
I knew
listen,
it.
did you know this was the one? I literally
Yes.
play this at like all my women events. I'm not even kidding. Literally. Oh my God, she's so epic. So here's her quote. Okay, and this is perfect for our conversation today. She said, Mama told me I should marry me a rich man. Maybe have a couple kids while I still can. Dressed in white, early nights, a minivan. But guess what? I'm all right. That's not the plan. And then she said, they call me crazy. You think I'm lazy, but a 985 ain't gonna save me. I know you're on your knees praying for my soul, but I'm okay being square in a round hole.
Oh my God, can we get a standing? Oh, wait, hang on, hang on. I'm pretty sure I have one. Okay, all right, here we go. Here we go. I got my lighter.
You can't see
That's my
her watch the video.
anthem.
She's holding a lighter up. It's so good. So listen, cute story about this song. And this, because it's just so synchronous and I have to share it. And then I swear to God, we'll move on. First of all, does it not just hit your soul in the right way?
Oh
Like,
my God. Like
she's
every time I
so,
hear it,
oh, same. And it's
it hits
so
me different.
rebellious. And that message
Mhm.
of like, my mom told me I should get married. I should, a rich man, right? Because I can't take care of myself. And then I got to have a couple kids while I still can't. Like the whole thing
Right.
was like, like it makes me like ragey. Anyway, so I play this at one of my speaking engagements. It was amazing. Room full of women. And there was two younger women sitting right in front of me. And I got done. We were listening to the song. I think we were using it to kind of close up an experience. And she sits up and she goes, "That is so crazy. You played that song." And I said, "Why?" She said, "That's one of my best friends."
I love that. That's my favorite part of that
Is
song.
it the coolest? Like, it's literally someone she's really dear friends with singing this song. And I'm like, shut up. We had this total, like, the whole room disappeared. I'm fangirling out. I'm like, please tell her she's amazing. I play her so much. She's like, she will literally freak out that you're using it like this. She will love that. And so, Rebecca Brunner, you're freaking badass. We need to see if we can get this to her so she can listen. So I love this song, and because it harnesses the exact nature of deconditioning. A parent, a loved one telling us, oh, well, you can't be independent. You got to go find yourself a man. And a man, of course, not a man or woman, it's a man.
Right.
And
It has to be the masculine. It has to be the
right?
opposite sex.
Exactly. And then by God, if nothing else you do, make some fucking children, because that's
Sweet
that's the way.
Jesus, you are useless if you don't crank out other human
Oh my
beings.
God,
Why
for
are you
sure.
even
I
here?
don't even know what you're breathing if you don't have a child. But anyway, right? So like it's such a play on the shit that we hear. Like literally the first time I heard it, I was like, what? You should see my face. My face was like, this is the best effing song. It probably is one of my literal top 3 songs of all time. Okay. So we want to think about detoxing these ideas, right? The whole notion is really what we're talking about deconditioning. We're taking the old shitty ideas and we're like, nah, that doesn't work. But in order to do that, this doesn't work for me, we have to look at what they are, right? So we're going to revisit a whole host of them today, which I'm sure will have you rolling in your, so to speak, grave, even though you're not in one yet. You'll get my drift. Won't be long, and we'll be going through these. So it's just, this is the way I do my mentoring, is that when women come in, we spend like the first section of time unlearning, getting really clear about the patterns we have, the blocks we've got, but so much of it is unlearning the garbage we show up to life with and the messaging and the things that kind of get us stuck in our heads. So I love this work, is so potent. So what we want to do is just unlearn, right? What are women's roles, their capacity, their ability, right? We want to like unravel that, the old stuff we know, and make it new. So I am going to start with a subject though, before we lean in fully to that, something called sister wounds. And I am so serious when I say that I don't know if I know a woman that does not have sister wounds. So before you're like, what the fuck is that? I'm getting there.
What's a sister wound,
It sounds like
Jen?
it sounds like we socked each other in the face when we were off camera. So sister wounds are those old experiences and stories we have about women around us. So many of us, and listen, and not everyone to the same degree, and I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form, because everyone has their kind of own unique way, of course, of navigating the bumps in the road, if you will. So when I think of sister wounds, I think of like this. Okay, I'm trying to spend a lot of time here, so Sue, help me keep it tucked in. But what I think, I know, right? Because we could talk about this for 18 hours, and maybe we'll make another a podcast just on this exact thing. But for today, we just want to get the idea out. Sister wound. Think of it this way. I'll share a couple of mine, and then Sue can share a couple of hers because I love stories. Okay, so one of mine, middle school. Did anybody love middle school?
Oh, I did. Oh, wait, no. It was the worst. It was the worst.
And that wasn't this lifetime, because that shit is horrible.
No, middle school is the devil. Middle school children are devils. Absolutely.
It's horrible. So in middle school, one of my friends decided who she liked and didn't like every week. So I got to go through that whole thing where you may or may not have anyone speaking to you for periods of time. Super good times.
Yep.
So very hard to learn to trust women if the rug is getting yanked out from underneath of you every other week or so, right? So I think I had some old stuff just from and honestly, listen, when I say that's not even throwing shade, because the same person was kind of a friend in high school. So it's so funny to me. It's like, I think we're working through our shit so much too, so that when I say that, I'm not throwing shade at her. Sue said in another podcast, we are always working with what we have. If I'm only ever exposed to certain things, I'm just going to continue to kind of have the same patterns of behavior. It doesn't make you stupid, broke. Otherwise, it's what you are. It's what you know. So my point is, I don't think that this person was an innately bad, malicious person. I think this person was navigating stuff, and it's a horrible, hard time. You're so awkward. You're figuring out your identity, all that stuff. Anyway, so that was one. And then I think mine continued to sort of just get worse as high school goes on. Lots of shuffling, and I had a trauma in high school, so that didn't help things. It really reorganized my entire life. But by college, I know I'm a little bit like, I'd rather not be friends with women. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I just was like, they're catty, they're bitchy, they compete, they compare themselves to me. Deceitful. And I was like, I am not here for that. I don't like that kind of shit. I don't like drama. I haven't ever really vibed that, if I'm being honest. And so it was very uncomfortable to like be a woman, but also not necessarily respect your own gender, which I know sounds very, very fucking weird, but it took me a long time to like women, like with no strings. I'm not going to lie. Which I know sounds batshit because I am one, but that's real for me. So college, I had people literally, I can think of one young woman who literally just on sight, unseen, have no idea what the hell I ever did, or just decided she didn't like me. I don't know what her deal was. She was a friend of my roommate, just decided I was Satan incarnate. I have no idea. We never had a crossword. I didn't know her well enough to not be liked. I have no idea what the fuck it was about me that bummed her out, but man, she did not like me. So there was one of like, oh, I don't have to do anything and look at this. That's awesome. Okay. Look, just disliked for no fucking good reason. Awesome. Then I had a roommate that one time, this is one of my favorite stories ever of all time. So good. And it was actually really potent because it took me well into my adulthood to unravel this one. So my roommate in the hallway one day stopped me and she goes, hey, do you mind if I say something really quick? And I think I told this story in my other podcast, but we get to revisit it because I feel like it. It's my podcast with Sue, so I get to. Okay. So she pauses me and she goes, hey, I just want to, apologize for something quickly. I'm like taken off guard because we were like not that tight, like just fine roommates, but just not like, tight. And I go, yeah, what's happening? And she goes, well, I just want to tell you that I was listening to you talk to your friend last night on the phone. In other words, she was eavesdropping, which I think is fucking hilarious. And that's fine. And she goes, and I really want to apologize because you know what? I just looked at the way you looked and like, I just thought you were really pretty, but you were fake. And I heard you talking to your friend last night. I was like, she's not fake. And my fake, I'm still to this day, it cracks me the hell. I wonder what my facial expression was to this entire exchange because I was like, that is such a sideways, weird compliment and also completely insulting.
It's a backhanded compliment. It's not a compliment.
It was this moment where it was like, what? Like, I seriously, I wonder if I looked as baffled as I felt on the inside. So here's my message though. I want you to hear what I took. Okay. So okay. That was the exchange. What I took was I can either be pretty or nice, but I can't be both.
Right.
Everyone will see me in one of two camps. I can either be pretty or nice and authentic. Nice, cool. Those are good options. Cool. So for me, I was an adult. I was listening to Gabby Bernstein at the time. I was driving into my literal therapy practice and I was in my 40s. And I'm listening to her talk about friendship. And the way that our lenses that we look through our whole life through. And I know that I have a very deep lens about sister wounds because I've been hurt by quite a few women, my mother included, right? And so some pretty deep shit in there. And she's talking about how it's a reflection of the other person when things happen. And it was the first time I went,
mm-hmm.
Now, guys, I'm a trained psychotherapist. This makes me sound not very smart. As I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, this makes me not sound very smart, but that's okay. That's okay. I mean, I'm being fucking real about it. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, for my entire adult life from about 20, I saw myself as having to live in a dichotomy. I could be either or, this or this. And I really thought what she said had value. I didn't at the time at all think she's speaking about herself. She's not speaking about me.
Right.
Now I can say that to you. But at the time I thought, oh, sweet. I'm either going to be seen as fake or pretty.
Right.
I can't be kind and all the things. It's got to be one disgusting. And listen, and when I say that disgusting, I'm sad about my thoughts. The thoughts are disgusting. It makes me so sad now for that woman that I was that thought like, oh yeah, well, clearly. So that's hard. I've lost best friends. I've been ghosted by women friends. And listen, I make it sound like I have a big long list. I've also had beautiful friendships in my life, but you're sitting with one of my best friends. So like clearly I've had good friendships too. And I have loads of stories that stacked up in my back first half of my life that really don't set me up well for this. I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
So those are a couple of mine. Sue, do you have some sister wounds you'd be willing to like, I just think it's like story a little bit for people to kind of get their brains around, like where are their wounds? Where do you have any that you're willing to to share with us?
Oh my God. So
vulnerable in.
Mine started in grade school. I went for kindergarten, I went to one school and then my parents transferred me over to another school. And then that was through 6th grade. And then they transferred me to a high school in 10th grade, which everybody's established in 9th grade. And so everybody's established in kindergarten. And I started new as the new person. So I was the freak. I was the anomaly. I was the outsider. I was shy as fuck. I was terrified, and that obviously came off that way because I was just absolutely beaten down emotionally by 2 girls One was a year older, the other one was in my class. And then every once in a while, the other two girls would be my friend, and sometimes they would all be my friend. And it was kind of the same as you, Jen. It was like you just didn't know
It's the worst.
what friends you had when you went into school.
Yeah. Oh,
every
and
day.
that's a horrible feeling.
And you didn't know if you'd have the same friends at the end of the day that you had in the beginning of the day. And
Oh yeah. Yep.
who would come to you to, I mean, it was a fucking nightmare. It was like Mean Girls, but it was way worse. It was just it especially with being really sensitive and with being an empath. It's like I don't want to do anything to upset somebody, not because I want them to be my friend or whatever, but that's just not in my nature.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so when it's coming at you, right, and you're like, but what did I do to you? I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And it was relentless. I mean, basically one girl actually got kicked out of the school that I was in because of her behavior.
This wasn't the school we went to together, was
No,
it?
this was in my hometown.
I was like,
No.
I was like, I don't think I knew this. Oh my God. I didn't even realize that. Listen to this. I
Yeah.
didn't know this story. That was that.
It was bad.
Jeez.
It was bad. I mean, it was like, and she had older sisters, and so collectively they would call our house and prank call, and in the middle of the night, and it would wake. Now, once it started waking my mom up, that's when action got taken, by the way. Because it was all hours of the night. They would call me a bitch. I mean, this was I was 9-10 years old.
That's crazy.
It was bad.
That's intense.
It was so bad. And it was like taunting and teasing, and I cried. I was a crier. So they would make me cry, and they would tease me for crying. It was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I got to go to a new middle school. Everybody was established in 6th grade. I went in 7th grade. So I had no friends. I had one friend, Kelly, and she was my friend. It was, what was crazy too is that she was my friend like right away when I started in 7th grade, and she was a cheerleader. Then the captain of the cheerleading squad for 8th grade decided that she didn't like her anymore, and so she was off the cheerleading squad. And it's like, did that happen because she was friends with me? Or I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I just know that she was a very tender soul too. And she was so hurt when she didn't get on the cheerleading squad.
That sucks.
Like, that's a big deal, right? I mean, it's a community.
Oh, no, it happened to me in sophomore year. I
really
have a story about that. Oh yeah.
Funny. I started Edgewood sophomore year. I hope it wasn't because of me.
Oh gosh, shut up. Of course that had nothing to do with you, but yes, I totally did the same thing. For someone who didn't like me, didn't want me on the varsity team.
It's a big deal. Yep, it's a big deal. And
Yeah.
so, her and I kind of bonded through that. Like, and she was such a good soul too. She wasn't like the one girl that she was friends with kind of started coming back because she was a really good person too. So she was kind of like coming back to my friend Kelly and being like, hey, can we be friends again? But Kelly didn't abandon me in this process.
Right.
She just opened up for more,
right,
healing and stuff like that from the other girls. And in the process of all of this, the one girl who had bullied me in my grade school, now we were in middle school together. And so now she has her friends coming after me in middle school, to the point where I actually got shot, like threatened, death threats. I'm going to fucking kill you, you fucking little bitch. I'm like, I have literally spoken no words to you. Wow. I don't even know your goddamn name.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The fuck is your problem?
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, it is. Terrifying.
Yeah. And I was a latchkey kid, and I walked to school and back, and it was just every single day. It was, is this the day I'm going to get hit? Is this the day I'm going to get beat up? Is this the day,
Right.
And it trickled down too. I mean, people didn't want to be friends with me because of these. It was horrible. Hated it. High school, much better because they don't put up with that shit. That was much better. I remember Mr. Shipley, our president, coming up to me on the first day and sitting down next to me in the theater at our school, shaking my hand and introducing himself. He said, "You must be Sue. I'm Mr. Shipley." He was the
So respectful. Like, first
right.
of all, he's
I
such a
mean,
fucking rock star. That's not,
he
like,
is.
God, seriously. But like, also the respect
Yeah.
to do that for a teenager.
Well, and to reach out
Everything.
to now I'm a new student and
Right.
I'm an outsider, and to reach out to
Right.
me and be like, "Hey, I see you.
That's lovely. Like,
You let us know if you do."
it's
Yeah.
advanced. I mean, it's in a weird way, it's very like advanced thinking. I love that
Yeah.
that he would lean in that way. And I'm not surprised because if you've ever met him, and most of you haven't, but he was an incredible soul. But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, I think there was a lot of teachers we got blessed with.
We were so lucky. And people hear that I went to
Epic.
Catholic high school and they're like, "Ooh, I'm like, no, you guys. This was like a progressive
It kind of was
Catholic high
in its own
school.
right. I know, like it totally was. So it's like
It was incredible. I mean, there was a girl in the class ahead of us who had a baby, and they like let her, not only did they not kick her out, they let her have her baby on campus, you guys. Like, there's a lot. I have so much respect. That high school, like, seriously, just made my teenage years like joyful, like so much better. I'm very proud of that. But anyways, so the reason I bring this up, all of this up, is because about 5.5 years ago, I get a Facebook message from the girl who taunted me and bullied me, who my parents got kicked out of grade school, apologizing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can ever put into words what it meant that she did that. Mm-hmm. That is fucking brave.
Oh, it's so hard to, like, when you've done something and you know it, and like it's like a pebble in your brain. So
it is
right. Like, I love this idea. I said it recently because I use that reference a lot. It's like having a pebble in your shoe, which, as we all know, will create a blister. Right. So, so it's the reason I use that reference. But the real of it is that it's really more like having a pebble in your brain, making kind of mush of things, because it is just such a huge deal for us to have someone, when we have had such a painful experience, to circle back and say, "I'm really sorry." It is.
And owning it.
And owning the accountability. It's literally so fucking healing.
It is.
It's so healing. Like, I've had the same. I've had women come back to me and go, "That roommate came back to me years later and stopped me in Perkins. We were out with friends after studying all night, and she came in. She's like, 'Can I talk to you?' Sat down and said, 'I'm really sorry.'"
Was that here in Eau Claire?
I'm really sorry that I did some of the things that I did. And I was fine. And so I was so grateful. Like, any apology I've ever received later, like, again, this is just such a public service announcement. If you're out there and you're listening, please know that if there is someone that you feel like you need to make amends with, like, when I tell you the power of what you're going to do for someone, you don't even know. And also, I have a great story about a sister wound that is really interesting. Piggybacking on that, my sister, high school, went to a reunion later in life. Okay. Obviously with her high school. And this young woman comes up, she goes, "Can I talk to you?" And she's like, "Yeah." And so she goes off and she goes, "I just want to tell you, I am so sorry for how I treated you in high school." My sister was like, "I have no fucking idea what she's talking about." When my sister was like, "I have no idea." And this woman was wrecked about it. Literally, I don't know what the hell she did, because Cheryl didn't even remember. Cheryl was like, "I don't know." Like, well, okay, thank you. But like, I would rather have you err on that side, and show up and have somebody be like, "I don't fucking remember a thing.
I don't remember that."
But when we do remember, when we have endured something very painful, it is one of the singularly most healing things ever to have somebody show up and say, "I'm really sorry I did that to you."
It is. And really in the place where it hit me when I got that man, and it was so genuine and it was so heartfelt, and girl, it was from out of nowhere. There was nothing that, this would have been 2019. I mean, Facebook suggestions, like nothing ever popped up. And maybe mine did. Maybe my profile popped up on hers. And she, you know what I mean? That might be what triggered. Maybe she was going through therapy, maybe she was going through something, whatever. Who knows?
Had kids?
Yeah, maybe. But I also knew, and I didn't know when I was a kid, I knew that she was a product of divorce. And and at that time, back in that, I mean, this was the 80s. So being a product of divorce it, it was not as common
Mm.
as it
Yep.
is now.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when my one friend came up to me after church and she told me her parents were getting divorced. I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean? You know what I mean? I mean, now it's just, divorces happen and it is what it is.
Right,
But
right,
at the
right, right.
time,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
pretty substantial.
Yeah.
And she was having a rough time and her parents were somewhat emotionally absent. And um, I, when she sent me that email, the only thing that I could think of was pure and utter compassion for her because she sat on that
Oh, it's
for
horrible. It's
what,
horrible.
30
That's like
years?
having a pebble. That's what I'm talking.
That's exactly.
That's
And so
a little
my
rough.
thought is, so this has been sitting, you know,
Yeah.
maybe it was just maybe she had just this sudden revelation in the middle of the night before and was like, wow, you were kind of an asshole to that kid in grade school.
Nope.
Or maybe it was sitting with her, or I don't know, but I reached back out and I just said, that I was so grateful and so appreciative of the fact that she reached out because she didn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
No offense, but I haven't thought about you in a while. But she
Mm-hmm.
did.
Yeah.
And I didn't relay to her what I knew about her home life and her background. I only knew from what I had heard from my mother,
Mm-hmm.
knew her mother. And it was, I mean, so I didn't know the whole story, but I knew that there was a story there. And hurt people,
Yeah, they do.
you know.
It's true.
And so I just told her, I'm like, I really appreciate you reaching out. It means a lot to me. And I actually feel bad that this has been sitting on your heart all this time. And I don't want it to anymore. It's all good. Thank you. It's all good. I mean, I had let it go prior to that because I had already reached that point where it's like she had a lot of shit going on in her life. And this
Mm-hmm.
was her way of dealing. It was her way of
Mm-hmm.
coping. It was her way
Sure.
of masking,
Sure.
whatever.
Of course.
But for her to come and say, yeah, I mean, it was incredibly impactful,
Mm-hmm.
very
Very healing.
powerful.
Very
And
healing.
it felt liberating. It felt like I was somehow freed
Mm-hmm.
in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of changed me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
it's
so good.
still carrying on 5.5 years later to where I'm just like, it's okay that I loved cats. It's okay that I loved animals. I remember walking in one time and she was on crutches, so she had to be inside for recess. And we had all I didn't have a real Cabbage Patch doll. My grandma made my Cabbage Patch dolls. I had a couple of them that were homemade with like nylons, women nylons. And so, I mean, it was brilliant. But that was my Cabbage Patch doll. And I remember coming in and she had her crutches and she had taken my doll and she had thrown it up against the wall and she was like stabbing it with her crutch, like that was my baby doll. You know what I mean? Like she was going after my person. I wasn't even there.
Mm-hmm.
And she was going after my personal belongings. It's like, right. What kind of airtight pinpoint focus do you have on someone? What did I do?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah. And you know what I think is interesting, and I'm going to go psychology for a sec, because I think this is so true, is I think so much of particularly childhood and young adult life is if someone sees a light in us, either they view us as vulnerable or they see a light in us and we mirror something back to them that they don't like in themselves. Like, I think there's so much under the surface. So it's life, what's going on behind the scenes at home. Right. So it's all the things that are building for you as you grow and age, but you don't have the bandwidth to make sense of. Yeah. So I think that sometimes kids are looking for vulnerable people, and I feel vulnerable, so I'm going to make you more vulnerable than me.
Yeah.
Easier to make somebody else the focal point of something that makes you miserable than it is to feel like it's you.
Right.
And I'm not defending that. I worked with about 1 million teenagers. Teenage one of my specialties.
I subscribe to that 100%. I believe that.
Yeah. And again, it's not, oh, it's okay. It's that we understand where something comes from, because kids are not, they're not equipped. Kids are not
Right.
equipped necessarily to be aware of these things and to navigate that well. So, because there's only so much bandwidth we have to understand that kind of complex nuance, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
but it's so true that I think we have so many circumstances that show up. I've had adult ones. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I had a friend like not talk to me for a year. Didn't tell me why.
Mhm.
Just didn't talk to me for a year. I'm not going to dive into it because it's more of the same of I think what we're saying here.
Right.
So painful. Um, and it was the first relationship I know therapeutically for myself, and I'm not talking therapy. Therapeutically healing for myself was not telling her to fuck off. I'm not going to lie.
Mm.
Because me as a soul, I had so much pain in the first 20 years of my life in a way that it was easier for me if you messed with me to be like, there's the door, like
Right.
zero bandwidth. Like if you messed with me, I was like, bye, like a no space. I mean, like I was like, you fuck with me once, you're done.
Yeah.
I had been so injured internally and wounded that I had this gigantic shield of sorts. And I'm like, oh no, I'm sorry. So to me, the growth was in having a really big wound and being able to sit down and talk through that and heal it and not just throw in the towel and not just say, well, fuck
Right.
you, the horse you rode in on. To me, there is real opportunity for all of us as women to get right with each other. Like, I really mean this. So if you're listening and you've been bullied, you've been estranged from people, you have a tough relationship with your mother, your sisters, you had a hard time, in school, whatever, adult life. I mean, people compare, I swear to God, people competed with me my whole fucking life.
Mm-hmm.
That women just felt like one big, like, I can't win. If I do this, you don't like me. If I do this, you don't like me. If I show up here again,
Right.
cheerleading, whatever. It's like bonkers. Like, what are we doing? But no one's talking about it, friends.
Right. Well, look at the comment sections. I know, never read the comments. But you look at the comment sections and you have women going after each other. You're fighting two sides of the same coin. Why?
It's just
You're saying the same thing in a different
exactly,
scope and you're
exactly,
arguing about it.
exactly. And that's, to me, there is something about one of my favorite songs by Pink is All I Know So Far.
That's all I know so far. I have been binge listening to that for the last couple of weeks. That's so funny you say that.
And I love it. And she says at one point, like, lay your sword down and dive right into the pain.
Yep.
And that was me. And my 17-year-old self was like, fuck everybody. You do not get in here. You do not get to hurt me. People leave, they don't stay, and you'll hurt me. And I'm not here for that.
Right.
So for so many years, I had this invisible sword I carried with me everywhere I went to keep everybody from injuring me, right?
Right.
Which again, I'm sure made me super accessible. I'm sure I was a delight, but whatever. And so I thank God I had friends. I wasn't that bad, but I'm just saying, right? I'm sure the energy I gave off was a little fucking intimidating. If I can be, not in an intentional, aware way, but I was defended. I had to defend myself.
I can tell you that it was. I was there for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, but everybody has their own battleground. Everybody is working with their own battleground. And that's Pink's opening line to that song is, I haven't always been this way. I wasn't born a renegade. Well, this is a message to her daughter.
Right.
That's what the song is for.
That's exactly
and
right.
Now it's this reflection back on her own life saying that I wish somebody had told me that this is my life.
Yeah. And I get to choose it the way I want it. I get to do these things. And so to me, that song is also one of my very favorites ever, because I think it's so about harnessing that awareness. And so I just want you to understand, whatever shade it's taken for you, that there is very likelihood somewhere an owie of sorts about and about friendship and about sisterhood. And so we can show up and we've got this competitive spirit. We've got this, right? Like this notion. Now listen, and I really want you to think about this. So a few episodes before, we would have talked about women's history. And a piece I forgot to say there, I'm going to say it here, is remember there was a time where we were actually property.
Right.
Women were property. Your children were property. If you
not yours. They weren't yours. They were your husband's.
Nope. If you wanted to leave, that was considered property. Your kids were not going with you, my friend. Nope.
Nope.
So when we go through these awful experiences, we're crucified as witches. We go through witch trials. We do all these things. Then we land in this position where right now it's the next layer of hell, essentially. And so rather than dealing with that kind of idea, we need to step back and stop seeing each other as competition.
Mm-hmm.
So if all of a sudden the world becomes scarce, and this is what I want you to think about, oh my God, if I'm fighting for my life, I'm not going to stick up for Mary Jo because I don't want to be burned at the fucking stake. Hell no, right? I'm not going to do that. So all of a sudden, because we didn't have our own things for a minute, you literally kind of didn't. Now that's in your DNA. So now you're like, mine, mine, mine. I'm seeing Finding Nemo, the seagulls, mine, mine, mine. That's what it's like. So we've adopted now this notion that we have to like, it's all me or it ain't happening kind
Yep.
of bullshit. So what happens is then we become frenemies. We become, oh, but I gotta watch you on the side eye. I can't fully trust you because you might stab me in the back. Okay. Notion. There is an energy, and not with all women, not in every single, okay, but we're just talking generality here for the point of the story. And I think it's really interesting that we understand, right? Take a moment to just really contemplate. I didn't used to be able to have my own things. So now that's the energy I carry. So whether it's friends, clothes, accolades, it didn't matter what it was, friend. A role, Sue was in theater, right? It's now I'm looking to see what you have, that are you taking what belongs to me or I want.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, okay. So, but we're saying this because now how do we have sisterhood if that's
Yes.
our lens?
Correct.
If you have what I want and there's not enough to go around, we fucking run each other over.
Exactly.
You're climbing the ladder. I'm going to step on your head as a rung. Is that cool? Thanks. Bye, bitch. Like, that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
And it isn't just a mean-spirited shittiness. Understand there is like a DNA, like a genetic energy that's followed down the history that's sitting with us. We need to unravel this shit, friends. That is old shit.
Mm-hmm.
It is not happening here and now. There is a way for everybody to succeed and have everything that they need.
The resources that the universe provides are not finite.
They're aplenty.
They're infinite.
Exactly. So can we, instead of looking at one another as resource takers, right? Instead, hey, that's amazing that you got that success. That's amazing you got that role. It's amazing you got that job, that event. That's awesome. And guess what? Good stuff is going to come for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can keep ourselves and our minds in our own lane that way and understand we have enough love, joy, light, energy to do our own thing, and so do other women, you don't have to compare or compete with each other. Like I could talk about this for fucking hours, which we will not, but trust me, I could. Because it's just such a sad piece of our history as women. And all it does is divide. And then when there are really important things, friends, what happens is it's harder for us to gather.
Yep.
Because if I don't see you as my friend, if I don't see you as my ally, I'm on my own.
Yep.
I'd rather look at every woman as my ally.
Yep.
I'd rather be like, you're in my corner. You want me to succeed. When I succeed, everyone succeeds.
Mm-hmm.
When my clients succeed, I succeed. When my friends succeed, I succeed. There isn't a either or.
Right. No,
Okay?
I think that's my hang up is, why does it have to be a this or that? I have Chelsea Handler. There was a thing that I was watching of hers years ago, and it really stuck with me. When she was first starting out in comedy, she invited a friend of hers who was also starting out in comedy, and she had already ran the circuit. She had done quite a bit at this point, and so she was going to like a open mic, or it was like it wasn't an audition, but it was like a showcase event where you'd be like plucked out and utilized like in workshops and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was open call. So she went and she took her friend who was also, they were both friends. They had known each other before they started doing their business. And her friend actually chose, like, her friend won. You know what I mean? Like, it
Right.
was one of those things where, like, hey,
Right.
this is, it's a workshop.
Yep.
It's a troupe that we're
Yep.
looking at to see who we can add to our arsenal of
Yes.
comedians. And her friend actually was. And she said it was very devastating. It was devastating, not so much that her friend achieved this, but that she herself hadn't. But then she sat with it for a while and came to the conclusion that, of course, I'm happy for her.
Mm-hmm.
She did the work. I did that. She was working for it just as much as I was, just
Right.
because I invited her to it. But that was my role in this,
Right.
was to bring her in on it so that she could
Yes.
get in front of the opportunities she was supposed to get in front
Right.
of.
Right.
Chelsea played the vehicle in that for her.
Yep.
And she then said that she was not going to dim her friend's light so that hers could shine brighter. She actually used
Huge.
that phrase.
It's huge.
And I was like, oh my God, think of what you will about Chelsea Handler. She can be a bit much, in such a beautiful, brilliant way, though. I love her.
I
And
think
that
she's like a
is,
breath of fresh air because
I do too.
you don't ever guess what she's thinking. To me,
No.
that is, as much as it sometimes might be a lot to sit with, like when someone has that quality,
Mm-hmm.
because they might say something to you, right? Right? You're not like not in
Exactly.
it,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
I would still rather have someone be that blatant and not
Mm-hmm.
have to go, is she okay? Are we
Mm-hmm.
okay? Is that okay? I don't have
Mm-hmm.
time for that. I definitely don't have time for that shit anymore. I'll tell you that right now. But I'm just
She's,
saying, she's
yeah,
brilliant that way, and she
she
does
is.
bring that energy
She's
of
pretty. She's talented, and she's both.
she's very bold. So
And she's not fake.
no, she's not. So to me, it's symbolic of the way that. Here's how I invite you to think about it. Okay, so action items, because you guys know we talk action items here too. How can you reach back and give the next woman a hand? So if we imagine that every time we succeed, we bring women with us, because we do, how can I, in this moment, turn back and say, who's coming up behind me? And I don't mean that they're less than. They could be younger than you. They could be
Right.
as far along enough in their career as you are. It could be a million things, right? How can I step in and help alleviate the bullshit story about sisterhood not being a safe place to be? How can I look at my own wounds, my own stuff, and make space, because I can help other women rise? And here's the thing that, and this is such a spiritual belief, and I think that I'll speak for both Sue and I when I say this, I think, which is, in that moment, it wasn't Chelsea's moment.
Right.
Now, with that being said, had Chelsea not been there, she was a bridge. She was like a walking, talking, fucking angel for her
Yep.
friends.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
So we're still playing a very important role, even when it looks like we're not getting our way or getting the role or getting the job or doing. But listen, you still have a really important role you play, and that no for you is a yes blessing. So when we hear no and don't get what we think we need, that's just because we think we need it.
Right.
It is not the gift for you. The gift was in the no, because there's something else coming for you. So if
Right.
I shift my mindset, because we're going to talk a lot about mindset in this podcast, if I go, okay, but there's plenty for everybody,
Right.
right? This just isn't my yes. This is my friend's yes. And my yes is still waiting.
Right.
And how can I be a part of someone else's rise up? Because that friend, for example, remembers that you helped.
Right.
And maybe there's an opportunity in that. Maybe there's a teacher in it. Maybe there's a million things. But again, we don't forget when women do this for us. Okay,
Right.
Sue, go, girl. We don't forget that shit. Like, to
Right.
me, if somebody makes me a basket for my fucking foot to climb over whatever goddamn wall I'm facing, I don't forget that shit. I have a very
Right.
long memory. If someone's like, Jen, I heard this great event, you would be perfect for it. And they don't know me shit.
Right.
Thank you. That's amazing. To me, that is how we show up for each other. That's how
Right.
we celebrate womanhood, is by being like, there's enough for everybody. There's a space for everybody at the table. How can we help each other get there?
Right.
Right? I really do believe that sister wounds are a deep piece of our conditioning as well. That's why we're talking about it. Because if I've had these experiences and I have this lens that everything filters through in my life, all my experiences, the people, the feelings, the thoughts, everything passes through that lens of my experience and my history. And if my history says women are not safe, I'm not
Right.
letting you in. I'm not letting you in. I'm
Well,
communicating
and
with you.
you also reach a point too where you have to realize, and this is where being an adult and a grown-up comes into play, which I am not a big fan of, but there have been times in my life, and what do you do when this happens? Again, you have to rise above.
Mm-hmm.
But there have been times in my life where I have helped another woman,
Mm-hmm.
and then she has stepped on my neck in the process.
Right. So,
No,
so,
I'm not saying that you shouldn't help them. I'm not resentful
oh,
or
I
I
know.
don't regret that I
No,
did
no,
none of
no.
that.
Yep.
But there are those moments where you realize,
Absolutely.
oh, you are not out for the better
Yeah.
good of me. You
No.
really are out for the better good of you.
And certainly we're going to run into people
Yeah.
that
Yep.
are, I mean, that's going to be their mentality.
Yep.
I will never mince words with you guys. If you've ever listened to my other podcasts or know me at all, like, like I don't mince words. I don't think this concept means it can be universally applied in every single moment of every.
Right. Right.
I think what we're promoting is I will give you a chance to be my sister.
Right.
If you blow it,
Right.
you blow it again. Okay. Okay. Now my trust is really called into action, which again, what I'm going to say is those women doing those things are not healing their wounds.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when a woman doesn't do it, you can also be like, oh my God, it's personal. Oh my God, it's personal. Or you can just go, oh, she hasn't dealt with her fucking sister wound. Got it.
Got it. Moving
Don't
on.
personalize it. Right.
And
Like,
you don't after that, then in theory, you shouldn't shut down
right.
and not
Exactly.
help the next one.
And not help somebody else. Exactly.
You just yeah.
Exactly. I think in the end, honestly, it does equalize if I'm being really honest with you. But I will say you're gonna run into people
Yeah.
that are not easy to deal with that are women.
Mhm.
Like it is part of life. I just want you to have a different lens that you can go, okay, she probably hasn't done her work yet.
Mhm.
And I don't
Yes.
mean that in a condescending, shitty way. Like, okay, yeah, I used to be there too before
Yeah,
I
and
did
I
my
think
work.
that's where the intuition that we talked about in another episode comes
Yes.
in, to
Yes.
where we're going to know. You're going to know probably right away. You're going to know before you even realize you know that you are working with someone and in someone's space that
Yes.
is not healed yet.
Exactly. And when you have that experience, then you have to decide what you're going to do with it. Right. Then it's,
Right.
and we won't talk about that today because we got
Right.
other things we're going to talk about, but then we are faced with decisions we're going to have to make.
Yeah.
Okay. But for the most part, I'm
Mhm.
going to say, for the most part, my experience has been that women are very open to this. And women
Yes.
that want to heal and want to progress are very real in showing up in this shit. And to me, and they're accountable to their own wounds. They're doing their own work. They're doing right. To me, it's like, way to fucking go. And we just
Mhm.
need more of it. That's really what we're talking about in this entire, we need more of it. More, please, more, right? I'm just like,
Right.
more women doing this sooner, earlier, younger, and let's fucking train women how to do this. Let's not
Right.
assume they're picking the, so just a note to self, because this is a great analogy of synchronicity here. So I got invited in to do a workshop at a corporate event, which I was very excited about. It was about communication. Okay. And I think it's very interesting that when I was talking about this experience and I was, I was asked like, do you have any like experience in communication? Just like pretty much taught it all the live long. You bet I do. So, and the person I was speaking to said, so like next week after we do this workshop, everybody will be good communicators. I went, oh no. I went, oh, I would love that. I would love that. Okay. And also, no, Because what we're talking about is exposing people to new ideas.
Right.
And it will take us being exposed to a new idea like 40 touch points. I want you to think about this. Before someone buys with a person, they require almost 40 pieces of engaging with someone. So it's no different for our fucking ideas.
Right.
If I don't lean into that over and over and over again and practice doing something different, I'm not going to change it. So I'm inviting you into this idea that as you're reconditioning yourself, if you will, to think about giving yourself time and grace, because these things won't all break open and be easy to shift, right? You'll start seeing in yourself and other people as you do this work. And you'll be like, ah, there we are. Okay, I see it here, right? You can't fix everyone. No one's asking that. That's not your job. It's also not your job, okay? But give yourself and other women permission and space to try this. And know that that might be the 10th time that a
Yeah.
woman you're engaging with has tried something. Okay. And so it isn't about just giving a hall pass that you can just be an asshole and, oh, cool. No, that's not. But can I have a bandwidth of idea about that? Okay. Can I give it space? Because I know I'm learning and somebody else is learning. But by far and away, people want to be good people. I have news for you.
Right.
Okay. Hands down. I was a therapist for a gazillion fucking years. Everybody puts their pants on the same way and got pretty much the same fucking dream for their lives. They want to be happy. They want to have some love. They want to create some good shit. That's it.
Right.
That's it. They want to be good people. So if we just sort of assume some connection, it creates a different idea than being at odds, right? And that's, we really want to be looking at how can I do something different? How can I be exposed in little bite-sized pieces that I can do something different in the world that's creating, even if it's micro adjustments, add up to make big change. Okay. But we may have to be exposed to something over and over and over again to
Yeah.
get good at it. It just is. So that's why we're talking about what we're talking about. Okay. Final thoughts on sister wounds, any of that? Or,
Yep.
okay. Okay. So why do we need to do this work? So I'm a big fan of like, let's understand why. Okay. Because otherwise you probably are like, meh. Okay. We need to do this to open more space for women to take up.
That's a good, okay, to take up.
We need to make more space for women to take up. So
Right.
we fill more space, right? We have big roles. We have leaderships. We're CEOs. We're CFOs. We're presidents. We're in high level positions all the way down to maybe you are career shit's not your jam and you always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. That's freaking amazing.
Right.
That is totally great, right? Just knowing you and who you are is freaking awesome. So we look at every single gamut of woman and we're making space so that we can bring the gifts that women have to the table in the world at large. And we need women that want to stay home and take care of children. We need women that maybe don't even want children ever. We need women that teach. We need women that lead. We need women that direct and design and create. So we need all of this space. And we want to fill that up with that divine feminine energy that we bring to the table. Because I really do believe it changes the game of the world. I really do believe this. This is not some bullshit I'm feeding you. Like, I actually really believe this. Okay, so we need to make up and take up more space. We need to increase women's voices and presence. Okay, well, literally, like, I wanted my daughter to know she wants to be an astronaut. Fuck yeah. You want to be a chemist? Fuck yeah. I don't care what you want to do, whatever it is, whatever's in your goddamn heart, we're rolling for it. I don't care what your gender is. Okay.
Right.
So I really think we've come a long way and that Barbies used to only look like teachers, not to be a dick. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Teachers are fucking awesome. Okay. I am one, but I'm just saying they look like teachers. They had very traditional, even roles, right? Back in the day. Now you'll go in the aisle and we're seeing Barbies of every variation. There's vets, there's physicians, there, right? Amen. We're starting.
Pilots. I think there's one that's a pilot.
See, that's amazing to me.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing, right? So we're thinking a bigger global. We want it to be that we are on all the stages with everybody. Okay.
Right.
Utilizing
Right.
everybody's gifts at fullest capacity. It doesn't matter even what gender it is, right? Okay.
Right.
So more voice, more presence. We want to improve sisterhood. We just got done talking about this. Dear Jesus, be nice to each other. I'm
I
actually not fucking kidding. Like, be nice
know.
to each other.
I know.
Sweet Lord, you will take so much more away. I am amazed. Here, I'm going to tell you a little secret. No joke. That's not even a secret, but you get what I'm saying. I am always flabbergasted when I get a group of women together and I'll be like, I don't know how this is going to go. Because again, you don't know what kind of wound someone's showing up with, right? So you're always like,
Right.
oh, buckle in, bitches. Here we go. Women are just waiting to fucking connect. They are hungry for real connection. So many of us that if even invited to tell their story. I had a backyard event when I was newly coaching. No shit. I had these women come back. It was a goddess thing. I was like, good Lord, this is going to be interesting. I mean, I had somebody really religious and I thought, oh, this person going to be like, what the fuck is she talking about? All right, but I'm going to do it. All right, 5 or 6 women willing to come to my backyard, have a beautiful bonfire. I have gone all out on all the things. So that's what I do. And I'm there and literally every woman around that fire cried. So vulnerable, so open. I was absolutely enthralled. My retreat, no different. When I've held things for women, I'm not kidding. I'm so touched. Like literally it makes me so emotional at how we have the capacity as women to break down barriers in a way that is so fucking unique to our gender. I swear to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean men are not capable in other ways. This is not a that's not where I'm going. I really do believe our level of emotionality that we're going to talk about in a minute is also supposed to be our detriment. I actually think leads to these really incredible connections and growth and opportunity that happen very differently because of our emotions. We don't have to squelch if I get emotional. I don't have to squelch if I want to talk about my kid. I love that in women.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, really, truly, there is so much more of us, I think, that want to lean in and want to know each other and want to build each other up. And so just taking that kind of wisdom with you, that women are not your enemies.
Right.
They're not your enemy. They might look and feel like it sometimes. Like, I got it, been there. Yeah, the t-shirt. I should probably have a mug, but I'm just saying, right? Okay, like I got it. And also, I think that's all old shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, we want to improve sisterhood. Sisterhood is very important, okay? To decrease competition and comparison. We've been talking about that ad nauseum, so I'm not even going to expound on that one. And to stop feeling powerless and afraid. I am so tired
Yes.
of feeling powerless and afraid. I'm not going to lie. And now listen, do I wake up every day and go, oh my God, no, I'm not scared in my bed laying when I wake up in the morning. I'm not, no. But what I'm saying is I'm tired of being afraid for my rights.
Yeah.
I'm tired of being scared of speaking my truth and being honest and not liked, right? And being told I'm too much and too loud and too bitchy. I'm just tired of that and feeling like so many of the women I know have had the experience of watering themselves down and dumbing themselves down so they fit. I did it. And I'm like, oh, hell no. Now, if you don't like me, there's the door. But I will tell you, the myriad of ways that I gave away my power is staggering.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm willing to bet that most of us relate to that. And so we'll get to some of
Mm-hmm.
that. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to identify, put your seatbelt on, the things we need to decondition, which is going to take us about 9 years. Well, we're going to try to trace through them more so that you have examples, and we will never be able to identify all of them because we would literally be here for 4 days. So here's some of the ones I have, and then I'm going to have Sue pipe in for sure. Women should be barefoot and pregnant. That's an old one. It's pretty old. It's Betty Friedan. We mentioned her a little while ago. If you have not read her book, Feminine Mystique, do yourself a solid, go listen or read it. It's so pointed. Right. But there was this idea that our roles were about childbearing and holding
Mm-hmm.
home. And listen, again, if that's your jam, I
Absolutely.
mean, like, I'm totally here for it. I have known women that are like, I just want to stay home and take care of my babies. Awesome. High five.
Being able to have options outside of that does not mean that you shouldn't want it.
Exactly. And I want women to want that for themselves. If that's
Right.
what you want and that's an alignment, fuck yes. Okay.
But that's not where our capacities end.
No,
That's the point.
that's the whole point, is that that's not our only capacity. Okay.
Right.
So, all right, they shouldn't have leadership positions. Oh my God. And and these two things connect. We're too emotional. Okay. Um, I have heard it said, and I'll try not to have a stroke while I'm talking about it. I'm sweating. Okay.
Oh, hang on. I'm just taking a few deep breaths
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Susan, we're like preparing ourselves. Okay. Um, that we might not be able to have a female president because she would be too emotional. If you're just listening to me, just know that I'm doing that thing where I blink about 9 million times because I'm so overwhelmed with absolute shock that someone would think that way in this day and age. And sure enough, I'm pretty sure there are people that would say that women could not possibly hold an office because we would be too emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you this, friends. First of all, fuck you, and so what if we are? Okay, there's that. Secondarily, I actually think that that is a fucking superpower. I think being emotionally intellectual is something vastly overlooked in our culture, in our conditioning, vastly. And so to me, even if you are emotional, I'd rather you bring your feelings to the fucking table. Doesn't mean it's the only way you make decisions.
Right.
Okay, I can have an emotion, and weirdly, I don't just have to make a decision because I have a feel. Huh, that's weird, huh? Okay. This makes me so bitchy. Like when I tell you like this shit makes me enraged, like you're totally getting my vibe because I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? One
Yep.
does not equal the other. I'm
Nope.
sorry. So to me, I think it's a superpower. Now, if you're off spouting off the emotions all day, the live long, and that's a lot. I'm not gonna right. And I think we can all agree on that, right? I'm not saying we all have feelings. That's totally normal. Now, if I only ever give them out into the world fire hose style with no filter, okay, that's gonna end up kicking me in the ass. But I'm not talking that. I'm talking the general average person, woman, I think is perfectly capable of making a decision, even when she's got feelings. Okay. I know because I've done
Mm-hmm.
it. I know because I've done it. So you don't get to tell me that that's not a possibility because I've done it. I understand I'm not the president of the fucking United States, but I'm going to tell you something. I've been a women business owner.
Yeah.
So suck it. I'm perfectly capable of having feelings and being very strategic and very intellectual about what I do. So don't divide me. We've already heard how this goes, right? My old wound of like
Right.
either this or this. Do not, because I will stomp all over you when you tell me I'm one or the other. Oh, no. I think emotions are a gift and they can feel overwhelming, and I get it. And I was a therapist for a gazillion years, so I totally fucking understand this. But also, emotions tell us so much.
Mm-hmm.
They're information. So if I welcome them as information, that's very different than like, oh, you know, women, they're so emotional and they're so, I can't, that shit. When you're having a bad day and some person is like, are you on your period? Oh my
Oh
God.
my God. Speaking of
Oh,
high school.
oh my God. Can I tell you? And I once had a guy in high school literally ask me, and we're going to go into graphic for a minute here, literally asked me if it felt good to put a tampon in. He was convinced it was like erotic to use a tampon. And I was like, I can totally see his face, right? I can see his face. I'll never forget this
I feel
dialogue.
like I know who it is because I had the same question asked of me. It's probably the same person.
Oh my God, probably was pulling everybody. But I looked at him, I go, yeah, no, that's not how that works. I was like, oh my God. Now listen, he was an adolescent boy. He probably really didn't fucking get it. So to be fair, right? I get it. Age and
Right.
experience and all that. But cracks me up, right? It's that unknown. Like, well, I don't know. So is it, like, oh, your big feelings? Like oh my God. I can't. Do you have your period? Oh, Jesus Christ. That makes
Oh,
me
you must be on the rag.
oh, it makes me want to punch a bitch. I'm not
Are
gonna
you PMSing?
oh
Yeah.
God. you're going to die. I'm just telling you, if you ask me that, you're going to die.
It's
Okay.
like, no, you're pissing me off.
You're insulting me.
You're insulting me.
Right now
And that
insulting me.
happened, that
Right.
happened one time, well, more than once, with the same person, probably the same person you talked to, said something insulting and degrading,
Mhm.
and I defended myself as, whoa, 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 are you on the rag or something? No, you're a fucking asshole.
If you insult me, expect me to come out. I'm just
So
saying, right?
the only time that we can be emotional is when we're menstruating or when we're
Menstruating, sad,
leading up to it.
have children,
Yeah,
right? So
right,
there's spaces where it's like, it's probably okay. But like,
right,
we're not supposed to be heard. So, I mean, I want you to really
right.
think about it. Like, those are more notions. We're supposed to stay small. We're supposed to be quiet. We're supposed
Yep.
to be demure. Don't be too erotic. Don't be
Don't
too
say
sexy.
anything. You don't want to say anything. I know that he did something to you that hurt you, but you don't want to hurt his feelings. The
Oh my
fuck?
God. Ooh, like,
Don't I?
no, exactly. Don't I trust me? I want to hurt more than his feelings, but or her feelings for that matter. But I'm just saying, like,
Right.
we're supposed to be nice, appropriate, respectful, graceful. The list of shit women are supposed to be.
Silent.
Oh my God. It's staggering. It's staggering. And literally that sweet section of in Barbie, in the Barbie movie where the woman talks about how it's impossible to be a woman, literally fucking nails it. I can't be too fat. I can't be too skinny. I can't be too short. I can't be too tall. God forbid, don't let your hair go gray. God forbid, go gray, because why do you want to be fake like that?
Right.
Literally, our world for women is so full of dichotomy. You don't know whether you're fucking coming or going. You literally cannot
Yeah.
win, right?
No.
I mean, according to what we hear so much of, we fucking can't even win.
Right.
And so
we can't even exhibit who we are as a person, really.
Right,
This
right.
is what it comes down to.
No, you can't, because you're exposing yourself, and
Exactly.
there'll be something that's wrong, because that's the way that it's set up right now. So to me, it really is a big deal to think about those concepts in our culture that are freely part of the awareness that we have. Freely. Right? If a woman goes to work in a corporate job, holds ground, she'll be called a bitch,
Ball buster.
a ball buster, a feminazi.
Think about that. Think about that phrase for a second. What does that mean? That means that the way she's acting is an affront to a man's testicles.
Yep.
You are threatening a man's existence
Yep.
with your power.
Yep.
How dare you?
And so we want to think about, right? Those are real notions that we live in. Not in every scenario, not with every person, right? But these are the things that women experience. And then what sometimes happens for us is then we'll swing a little bit more to masculine energy, because we're like, well, that gets the job done. If I'm in corporate America and I'm looking around and it's 80% men, right? And like, well, that works for them. Maybe I adopt that kind of energy. That's not quite right, because, well, I'm not a dude. I'm not a man. This is not how I'm wired. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. So we really want to think about, like, this is the energy of the things we live in. Doesn't make it right. We can redo and shift this, but I do want you to understand there are about a million beliefs about women and how we are and what we do and what we can bring that have shaped our entire experience. Okay. And so there is this piece of like, I just can't, in order to get where I need to go, I'm gonna have to cut another bitch to get there.
Right.
To look like I have a dick the size of Texas. Okay. Just as an example. And I'm gonna have to be a real bitch. That's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that that's how we would feel like we had to be in order to progress our careers, our paths. Like, that's
right. To
You're
be taken seriously, to be taken, to be respected, to be seen, to be heard. I mean, it's asinine.
Yeah. No, I mean, even so, one day, this is back in the day, and this is such a great little story. I got up to do my lunch. This was back in the psychotherapy days, and we were doing consultation. When we did consultation, we would do like an hour, hour and a half, break, have lunch, and come back and do like an hour, hour and a half, right? It was great. It was like good rhythm, whatever. So I was getting up because we were at the halfway point in our whatever. And one of the women therapists literally said to me, I said, okay, guys, I'm going to get up and pee and grab my lunch, and then I'll be back. And, she's like, oh, it's always about you, Jen. The fact that I want to pee and get my lunch. So even there, another woman is making me sound selfish or peeing and grabbing food.
And calling you out in front of your colleagues.
And which listen, I was like, no, if I
right.
Literally, it was actually the first time in my adult life. The first thought I had was, wow, it's so sad. You'll actually never know who I am. If that's really what you think of me, you have never known any part of my actual soul. And so I was actually able to be like in one ear and out the other. But I'll never forget, because I thought, that's so not supportive of women.
Right.
Already, we have so much difficulty sometimes speaking our truths, asking for what we need, clarifying our direction, our drive, and what we want without feeling like we're somehow stepping on someone else or doing something shitty. And I can't even go to the bathroom and grab my lunch without you judging me. That's not sisterhood.
No.
I'm sorry. And so again, even women can do this shit to women.
Oh,
so I'm going to be very fucking clear here. This is not a man bashing thing. Women do this to other women. Friends, if you are listening to me right now, please do not pull this shit with another woman. By God, even if you don't fucking like her, that's
right. I was just gonna say, even if you disagree with her, because we don't all get along, right? I mean, it is what it is. We're humans. Humans don't all. Just because it drives me crazy. My brother does that. Oh, I have a girlfriend, and you are my sister, and you are both girls, and so I'm going to put you in the playpen together, so me and Jim can go out into the garage and play guns and drink beer. Like, I don't like your girlfriend.
Yeah. Right.
Stop sicking me on her. Like, we don't have, right? We can stay in the house together and I can be like respectful, but stop doing that. Like, just because we both have vaginas, it doesn't mean we're going to be BFFs. I'm not going to sit and braid her hair. Trust me on this one.
No.
So it's, again, this is the same, you think about energy and how it's infinite. That kind of energy is also infinite in our, like, how it is that we can stand in our power. That energy is infinite too. It doesn't mean that if two women are in a situation where they may not necessarily see eye to eye,
sure,
you can still come to a common ground. You can still get what you want. You can still get what you want. It's infinite. It doesn't have to be you or her.
It's not yes or no. It's not black and white. I totally agree. I think it's so interesting that we can't just make space for respect. And that's honestly humanity. It has nothing to do with women and just women.
Correct.
I'm sorry.
Right.
We can be better. Okay. So we need that to be different. Okay. And so I really, again, just want to invite that in. So here's another one that I love. Oh my God. I'm going to open up a whole can of worms with this one. A feminist is a raging man hater. A feminist does not mean you have to hate men, friends. And guess what? That's so fascinating, that mindset to me. Being a feminist to me, I'm scared to say it. I'm scared.
I know.
I'll say it because there was such a bad fucking stigma. Oh, so you must hate men and you just think men should all die and perish. No, I never felt that nor said that.
Right.
All I'm saying is, I don't know. I think I deserve the same opportunity for the fucking top job as the next dude over, and the next woman over from him. I believe we should have equal fucking opportunities in our lives. That's all I'm saying. That's it.
And it doesn't take away from anyone else.
And that's what it is. It threatens. When people hate feminists and they have this idea that that's how we all are, it's because it challenges the fucking status quo.
Right.
Check yourself.
Well, and that's just it. You can also hate men and not be a feminist.
1,000%. They are not all together. It is not a
I
thing.
mean, I mean, because there's a different blend of everything and everybody. That's what makes us unique. We all have our own fingerprints.
Exactly.
There is no two people who are exactly like. So to lump everybody in, and it goes for both sides.
1,000%.
It goes for both sides of any argument.
It does. Exactly. And that's just it. It's such a good humanistic perspective. It's not about one or the other, right?
Right.
But it's just such an example of if we would just slow our roll and try to lean into respect, no matter who we're dealing with, we're going to have a better outcome.
Correct.
I'm sorry, period. I don't care who you are, what gender is. I don't care. So we can be better than that, right? The other is, and again, there'd be 9 million, and I'm going to give Sue the floor after I say this one in case there's some real humdinger she's got in her brain. But this is one of mine and this one really pisses me. I'm just going to be real. They all piss me off, but this one is just such an aggravator to me. That you're really not a whole woman if you don't have children. And I am going to say, that is so fucking offensive to me. And in my own right, I am a mom of one child. I nearly died, literally, having my child. That's not an exaggeration. Chloe was 6 weeks early. It was the scariest fucking thing ever. And the number of people that felt comfortable saying to me, oh, you're not going to have another one? That's so hard. Ooh, you're going to have an only child? She's going to be so spoiled. What's she going to do when you guys die? I've literally had people feel free to ask me questions. They were not in labor and delivery. They did not see that they over-medicated me and almost fucking killed me to stop my labor. They did not see the needle going in and out of my fucking spine while they were trying to do my tap that then ended up going into my lungs where I thought I couldn't breathe right. They weren't there for that. So don't say to me, my only child's a goddamn abomination. She's a motherfucking gift.
Right.
And I'm lucky I made it out and she made it out.
Yeah.
So whenever we start talking to a woman about her reproduction, I'm sorry, back up. That is not our only worth. And it is not something that every woman wants to do. Furthermore, if you don't want to, you probably shouldn't. If it's not an innate drive of yours, by all means, that's okay. Because women are innately nurturing and creators by having a womb.
Correct. We
can nurture and love other beings, and it never has to be a baby.
Right.
So this one makes me just batshit because that feels so fucking old to me. Like
leading up when I was engaged the first time, I worked at a clothing store. I was in college and I worked at a clothing store and it was around the holidays and I don't know, kids came up or whatever. And it was, well, first of all, the woman told me that I was living in sin because we lived together before we got married.
Oh, I should put that on my list. Yeah, got married.
Oh yeah, and you have to be a virgin when you get married because you know.
Oh yeah.
That's your duty. That's your duty as a wife.
Make sure your hymen's intact.
Yep. You got to come to the man fully intact. And then when I said I wasn't sure how I felt about having kids, I was 20.
Oh Jesus! Right? Because who feels ready to do any of that shit?
And so it was like, I don't know, whatever. And she's like, "Oh, so you're selfish."
Oh, yep. There you go. Because also you're a complete asshole if you don't want a kid.
Yep. Hold on. So let's say with your mentality, with your thought process here, I'm going to roll with me here, weird woman who was very painfully single, by the way. I don't want kids. Let's just say in theory, this is not me. I'm not quoting myself here.
Yes. Right.
Because I had my own situation with a child. So I don't want kids, but because you are telling me, so you're telling me that I should have kids. So now, because you told me I should have kids, now I'm going to have kids. You don't think that's selfish? So I'm going to have kids because it's what I should do.
Right. That is
the most selfish thing you can do is bring a child into the world that you don't fucking want.
That's just it. It's like, to me, That's just it. And I think the other thing that really pisses me off about this is there are women that can't have children.
That's
So to
my
look
biggest caveat to
at a
this is
woman
that's why you never talk to a woman. Don't talk to a woman about it.
ever, to me,
Ever.
I don't understand. I have known women who've had miscarriages upon tried IVF, tried everything, literally devastated. They can't have children. So to have another person look at you and say, why aren't you getting on the fucking horn already and having some kids?
Or you know what my favorite phrase is? Ooh, you better hurry up and give him kids or he's going to find someone who will.
Oh God,
I
ew.
had that said too. I've had friends who have had that said. I have a friend who had a medical emergency and had to have an emergency an emergency hysterectomy,
Yeah.
which someday we're going to talk about the phraseology of hysterectomy, by the way, but not here. Well, after she had her hysterectomy, her husband left her
To me,
because she couldn't give him babies.
and listen, I'm not a fan of that. That's a whole different because that's hard. That's hard. If somebody that was their dream, I get that's difficult. Okay. I'm not saying you should leave, but I'm just saying, okay.
There are plenty of other means, but yes, go on.
But to me, it's that dichotomy that even in our culture, men age and look distinguished.
Right.
Women age and we look fucking old.
Right.
Now,
Not us.
do I really
We look
think we look
fantastic.
But right, what I'm saying is culturally, men are revered as they age.
Right.
And we're the opposite. We're told we have to stay and look young, nubile.
Right.
I'm 20 when I'm 80. Not a thing. Not even realistic.
Right.
But our messaging is, God, oh my God. He's a famous actor and he's so distinguished. He was in some of the 007 movies. I can see his face as plain as day.
Pierce Brosnan?
No, Pierce is one. But there's
George Clooney. George Clooney was like the consummate bachelor.
George Clooney's been one, and then he's an older gentleman. I can totally
Daniel Craig?
He's one of the other, and I know it's like, are you kidding? It's like we've literally
Was he one of the original 007s? Like the old?
No, because I mean, he was, oh God, he's been in so many things, and he's so handsome, and he's aged. I mean, so he does not look young, but he is such a fucking handsome dude. I wish I could remember his name. It's pissing me off. I swear to God. I'm like, I don't remember as soon as we're done.
Is he still alive?
I don't know.
Sean Connery is the only other one that comes. Is that who you're thinking?
Is it Connolly? Connery, Sean Connery. Oh my God, thank you.
Oh,
thank you.
He is. Yum.
But what I'm saying is, right, he is just stellarly handsome, but he'll hold that regard in a different way.
And he's no longer with us, by the way.
Oh, he's not. So thank you.
No.
So I didn't know. I was like, I don't fucking know. But
no, it's okay.
So talented, right? And so good, so just handsome to look at, right? But again, what is it? Why is it that that's okay and that's the cultural norm, but women age and we're told we need to look younger? Like that's
and what's so funny about that is that Helen Mirren is revered for aging young. Does that make sense? She hardly looks any different than she did when, look at Cher. She hardly looks any different. And then you turn around and you blast Priscilla Presley and Courtney Cox for getting plastic surgery.
Or Julia Roberts, who was sitting at her table playing a card game with her niece, Emma Roberts, and like they snapped a picture. They crucified her.
Yep.
Oh my God, I can't believe she let her picture be taken. She just looks fucking natural.
And here's the kicker. The worst part about this culture of criticism is it is born in women.
Oh.
It is women. I am seeing more women coming after that ilk than men. And that could be, again, I mean, if we want to give the benefit of the doubt, which I always try to, that could be a reflection of their own worth, their own inner turmoil of their own aging process.
I think that's a lot of when we see and hear women that are doing things like this, I really do feel like it's very much about like their own insecurity and their own worth. And listen, I live in this age. I'm not dumb. I'm 50. I have wrinkles. I use skincare products. I mean, I do the whole damn thing, like not dye my hair. And also I love that shit.
Sure.
I love that shit. It's not for everybody. Some women are like, I don't
Right.
need makeup. I don't got time for that jam. Who gives a shit? I fucking love it. I
The
think it's
only time I put on makeup is for this. I'm not lying. I'm
so
not lying. I'm not kidding.
I feel like you wore makeup to my birthday party. Did you not?
Okay, and for that, because it was you.
She looked beautiful. She looks beautiful all the fucking time. Anyway, but like,
But
right?
anyways, no, it's yeah, everybody's personal preferences. But and again, if you want to go the glam, go the glam. If you want to not go, who fucking cares?
Then grow hair in your armpits, grow hair in your legs.
Seriously.
I don't give a fuck.
I have to tell you, it's so funny you say that because I have a couple of friends who, again, one of they're both quite a bit, yeah, again, I could be their mom. One, and it's actually really sweet because one does identify male, and is on like there's like supplement or not supplements, but like there's there's medication and things like that.
Okay.
And I'm so fascinated by the armpit hair.
Mhm.
Like and then there's another girl too. So saying this for with both of them in mind, thinking like they're so proud of that. They're so excited about it. You know what I mean? It's like when they're just as excited about that as like I've been growing my hair out for the last several months
Yeah.
and it's getting long. They're just as excited about the hair on their legs and the hair in their armpits.
Yeah.
Guess what? We were born with the ability to grow hair in our armpits. We were born with hair growing in our assholes. Hair is growing in our vagina. Hair is growing on our legs.
Yep.
Guess what?
On our upper
We
lip
do
when we're in
not
menopause.
have to shave it. Oh my God, seriously, I've got shit growing. I didn't even know that area of my body had hair follicles, let alone the ability to actually grow hair. Since I'm down to one ovary. And so that's just, my body's just been like, seize the day, we're making our hairy.
There's some fun shit that happens as you age. Mm-hmm.
But we also have the liberty of being able to say, okay, I'm going to go. There's a new girl in town here who does body hair removal. And I know her because she works at the salon where the girl cuts my hair. So I'm like, oh, I have a comfortable person to go to get my ass waxed. Awesome. I'm doing it. I can't say when because it's still a process for me. But I can do that if I want to. But if I don't want to, guess what? That's okay too.
Exactly.
I'm doing it for my own personal. That's like I want to do it for my own like personal. Like it's my hygiene. It's my hygiene. It's me.
That's how I am too. And like I totally get it. And listen, full respect.
100%.
If you want a big bush, power to you.
Seriously.
If you want to shave that down the side and make yourself a nice little runway, put some fucking little nifty beads or jewels on there, man.
Absolutely.
Listen, I don't care what you do.
You get your hair all dreadlocked. Nobody cares.
You want to weave that shit? You
do what you gotta do. And listen. And it doesn't matter. And that's the thing. That's another form of, we were talking earlier about like the biggie with body autonomy, but that's another body autonomy. We can do that.
We can do that.
We can let the hair grow on our legs. I remember when this boyfriend that I had, he was 8th grade, so he wasn't a real boyfriend, but I had my leg on with my hair. My leg was bare and I had my leg on a chair and he went to sit down. And so I went to like move my leg and he reached down to like kind of touch my leg or whatever. And he goes, ooh, and he takes his hand and he goes like this up and down my leg. He goes, you need to shave that. When I tell you that the comeback that I wanted to give him, I didn't give it to him because he was a nice guy. The man never cleaned out his fucking ears. He had like little cave walls of stalagmites. And you could actually see the earwax in his ears. And I'm like, you're coming at me for my legs? You're joking, right? Are you joking? It's like the earwax didn't bother me, but now you're bringing this shit up. Guess what? It bothers me now, hypocrite. Here's a Q-tip. Fuck you.
I know, right? I'm like the guy in college. I'm not shitting you when I tell this story. I just had like a complete flashback that one of my boyfriend's roommates, who I fucking adored, by the way, was the funniest, most awkward, goofy dude.
Was it your boyfriend's roommate? Okay.
Yes, but like heart of fucking gold. Would keep his fingernail and toenail clippings.
No.
No. You heard me. Would keep the clippings. And one time as a gag, and I don't remember touching them, we put them in his bed. We were all so grossed out by it. We literally pull back his sheet, sprinkle them on, covered it back up. So when he got in bed, he'd be in bed with his nails because everybody was so disturbed by it. So all I'm saying is, right, we can all be grody. I mean, let's be
Ed Gein,
okay.
Ed Gein is from Wisconsin. Was this guy
Oh,
related
no.
to him at all? Or I'm
No,
just saying it could
no.
be genetic. That's all I'm saying.
But one might wonder. But no. But so I'm just saying, right?
Yeah.
Just no judgment. Just let somebody do their hygiene, do their body,
Right.
they respect their body. Like that's fine. So any other big like notions, like the conditioned beliefs that you feel like we've covered quite a few. I know we'll never do all of them, but like were there any other big ones for you that you're like, let's not miss this one?
Can we talk about domestic roles in the household? Because when you're, say you move in, and this really is just a general scenario.
Yeah.
But I have always been blown away by, so you move in with your boyfriend, you're going to get married or you're not, whatever, but now you've taken the next step.
Yeah.
He has lived alone.
Yep.
For amount of time, right? Now you've moved in and suddenly all of the duties are yours. You're the one cleaning the toilet. You're the one mopping the floors. You're the one doing the dinner. You're the one cleaning the kitchen. You're the one taking care of the litter box. You're the one letting the dog out. Yep. You're the one doing all of the things. Yes. You're the one doing the grocery shopping. You're making the lists. Why?
Yep.
Why? That's woman's work. That's woman's work. No, it's human work. You made the mess, fucking clean it up. And if that means that you think that we need to share the responsibilities of mowing the lawn, cool, I'll mow the lawn.
No, and that's how I am too. It's so funny. When I met my husband, literally, I walked down the stairs. I'm doing a little hand, you should really see the visual, but anyway, for some reason you need me to do the
visual is quite
I walked downstairs. And there was my husband to be, which I of course did not know until like later that night when I was like, this is my man. Vacuuming, getting ready for us to come, my friend and I. I'd never met him.
It does not surprise me at all. Knowing Zach, that does not surprise me at all.
And just, I guess what I know, I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed. My husband there is not a single task my husband was like, that's beneath me. I couldn't do that. That's a woman's. He changed fucking diapers. That man walked the floors with our kid when she had fucking upset belly when she was a baby. Like, when I tell you, there isn't a single thing that my husband's like, ooh, no. I'm so grateful to his mom for raising him to be so self-sufficient and for the light that's within him. That's like, that's not just your job. Am I better at certain things? Yes. When it comes to decoration, is he going to do it? No, I'm going to. Now, listen, some men are better than fucking women at design and decoration.
Absolutely.
Don't diss at all. But in our relationship, out of the two of us, Christmas decorations are kind of my thing. He'll help. Yep. He will do more of the yard work. But that's because I'll do some of the other items. So we are very like, hey, but if you need help, have I been out in the yard picking up fucking leaves and raking, doing it? Yep.
Right.
It's not beneath me and it's not a man role. Like,
so and I'm not going to sit here and pretend I can't do it because it's a man role and I can't do it because I'm not a man.
No, like absolutely. There is just none of that. And so I feel like my husband literally kicks ass at baking compared to me. I am like the crazy Muppet chef, like tossing a little shit in there.
Mark.
Exactly. My husband is over here making fucking pies like a boss.
Yeah, Jeffrey too. Jeffrey is.
Yeah.
He's a wizard in the kitchen. I came home the other night. I was at rehearsals and I came home the other night and I saw him in the kitchen and he had it was adorable. I could see him through the window and he had a little smile on his face and he was working. And side story, when he was growing up, he was really close with his grandparents.
Oh, so was Zach.
He was really okay.
Yes.
And they were traditional. I mean, they were by the time his grandfather passed away, about a year and a half before his grandmother, they'd been married for 70 years.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I mean, they were hardcore roles. He was a farmer. She was a stay-at-home mom. She had 5 kids. Yep. 5, 6, 5. Anyway, she, I mean, that was her thing. Now, did she love it? Yes, of course. Do I think that her husband would have held her back? From what I know of them, I never met them.
Right.
I don't think he would have. I think that's what she wanted. That's what she wanted out of life. And it's just, but when they were going through after she had passed away and he ended up buying this house from the family, but cousins and aunts and uncles were coming in and they were taking things that some of them were of value, like actual monetary value or whatever. And he grabbed the rolling pin and he got a little kickback from, or a little pushback from his family. You're just taking the rolling pin. He goes, every single memory that I have was standing next to grandma rolling out cookies. And that's all he would, that's all he wanted. He didn't want the thing. He didn't want the things.
It wasn't about the money.
He wanted that. It was about the experience.
Absolutely.
And that's, you know, and so when when he's in the kitchen, it's so cute because he'll be cooking or baking or whatever, and I'll like come out to the kitchen and he'll turn around and he'll hiss at me, like, go away, you
Go
know.
away. No, we're getting ready for Thanksgiving and my husband's literally making all the pies.
No, I love that.
Like,
yeah.
literally, so good. So see,
yeah. And
go ahead.
It is. It's adorable. No, I love that because that's non-traditional. But my God, if they enjoy it, that's what they should do, right? And if they're better, Jeffrey's better at it. I'm not a good cook.
Zach
I'm not a good chef.
I don't mince words at all. I'm like, literally, he's better at it. It would be a fucking clusterfuck if I did it. And literally, my mom taught my husband because I couldn't figure it out. No,
see, and that's fair. Our smoke alarm is most of the time it's disconnected because it goes off almost every time I cook. I'm not.
That does not make me feel safe with you guys sleeping at night, but also okay.
Well, I mean, that's a little exaggerate, kind of an exaggeration, but I actually a couple of weeks ago set the toaster on fire at work. I don't want to talk about it, but it was pretty epic.
But she talked about it.
I totally talked. There may or may not be a TikTok video out there.
The TikTok video is priceless. So, but anyway, go ahead. Yeah,
it's pretty damn
hilarious.
Good.
It's hilarious.
But it was funny because one of my coworkers said, "So are you going to go home and ask, or are you going to go home and tell Jeff that you set the toaster on fire?" And I kind of chuckled a little, and I just turned over to him and I said, "Do you seriously think he's not familiar with my work?"
Yeah.
He just busted a gut. They're like, I'm like, no, you guys, seriously, I do not cook. And Jeffrey does, and he loves it. And I will. Obviously, I will. I'm not going to be like, oh, I don't know how to cook, or I'm not good at cooking, so I'm not going to do it. I will do it, and I will try my best.
Right.
But with him, it's just this level of joy, you know? And so when I pulled in the other night and I saw him in the kitchen, my first thought was, oh, he looks so cute. He's in his happy place. He's got you would. And then my second thought was, oh, fuck, what kind of mess am I going to be walking into? Hand to God, he made a batch of the best cookies I've ever eaten in my life, and he cleaned the kitchen. Yeah.
This literally the other night, I worked at the boutique. I was doing a really short shift, and I knew I couldn't get a meal in before I got out because it's like it's like from 4 to 7.
Oh, sure. So it's a weird time.
And I don't really want to eat at 8. But anyway, I was like, fuck it. So I took a snack, but it wasn't enough. And by the time I was done, so I'm driving home and I call him and I'm like, yeah, I'm just, he's like, okay, well, cool. Well, dinner's almost done.
Oh,
literally made like my favorite go-to meal he's like, fries are 6 minutes out in the air fryer. I'm like, oh my God, you're my favorite person on the whole fucking planet. Like when I say to you, it to me, and this is where I say, when you and I, talk about not man bashing, we have beautiful men that totally elevate us, that totally are like behind our success, behind our growth. Like we are very blessed. Like our men are so good. Like, and they're freaking adorable. Like I love him so hard. And so to me, it's like, we're so blessed. And I want us to have that dialogue also, because I think when you're talking about feminists, the vision we have, so many of us, is like, oh, clearly man hating. Clearly they think men are pieces of shit. No, I don't.
No.
I love men. I'm like, no, but also I don't. Can I see where things don't work in our culture? Yes. Can I dialogue about that with my husband? Yes. Have we?
Yes.
Right. That's part of our connection is talking about what it's like to be a woman. What is it like to be scared to walk to your car at night by yourself?
Exactly. And to be able to bring in, if you have a man in your life who you can bring them in and say, this is what it's like to experience being a woman. And then if they have everybody has their own experiences.
Absolutely.
I would not want to be a man who is my age now, who grew up when I did, because that was still the age of you don't cry.
Right.
Exactly. You got to be a man. You have to toughen up. You have to, right?
Yeah.
Like you say that to a tomboy, me, or you say that to an empath, me, if I don't, I'm still going to be okay because I'm still able to let my emotions out.
Right.
But if you almost beat it into a boy, you are literally taking away their universal right as a human being. And that is what they have to live with.
Absolutely. I
That
mean,
is
I'm
what
not
they,
better.
that's the obstacle that they have to grow around.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
You
agree.
know,
I think being a sensitive man and being like, that is a real thing. And my husband's only raised a daughter. That's what we have.
yeah,
That's what we were
right,
gifted with, right? And like, fucking phenomenal at raising.
right.
Like the man just shows up, supports her, loves her, builds her, and she's watched how he holds space for me.
Yeah,
We are, but men also need the capacity to have their feels.
correct.
They need, so there, I really do believe in searching for sort of the equanimity, the quality in feminine and masculine energies both.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to hear us talk a lot about female like energy and that kind of vibration, but also we as women have masculine energy.
Oh, yeah,
So all of us are both. There's no man or woman,
correct.
no matter how hardy they look as a, a big lumberjack dude or stereotypical like manly man to a very, very feminine woman, effeminate woman, we have both qualities, right?
Right,
So, and everyone needs the capacity to be able to be in both energies, to feel really whole,
correct.
to support and hold space for if that's a sensitivity for a man and tears or being sentimental. I know some really
Yeah.
sentimental men. Like I love that. Like I really truly respect when men can be so open and comfortable in their feels.
Mm-hmm.
I love watching men with kids. It's one of the things I do. I do because I think that's a space where sometimes you'll see a spark in them that you don't always see otherwise. Like, oh, like
Mm-hmm.
look at that. Like, and that's so cute. Like, so listen, it's in all of us that we have these capacities, and it's just the amount and what shape it takes, essentially, right? So like all of us are a little bit different. I have, and I look very feminine, but I have some real masculine qualities to me. Like, listen,
Right,
like all the way through high school, I was like, I'd rather be friends with dudes. Like, no shit. Like
right.
I did, and I
Yep.
was. I mean, that was kind
Right.
of more my jam than anything else. So like I I can work that way. Like it totally doesn't bother me. So
Yep.
I really think it's about understanding both pieces and honoring both pieces. And so as we do this podcast, you're going to hear us talk about feminine energy, masculine energy. And hopefully my goal for everybody is to find balance and
Right.
whatever that looks like for you. And it'd be unique for everybody, right?
To
Um,
celebrate those qualities in other people too. I think so much too of what I kind of want to convey with my just the way that I go through life is cheering other people on for finding their vulnerabilities and then embracing them,
oh,
regardless of whether you're male or female. Like
yes.
they're
Yes.
and strength, like like you said, like we all possess both, and so strength is always associated with men, emotion is always associated with women. Both can have both,
They should.
and
They do.
and we all can coexist and elevate each other
Exactly.
without taking anything away from us. You can elevate this person, you can elevate it's we I I I just want people to realize that the energy is infinite,
It is.
whether that be positive energy or negative energy.
Right.
You're throwing negative energy out there, that's what's going to be portrayed. You're throwing positive energy out there, that's what's going to come back to you.
Exactly. Whatever you put out is come
Exactly.
back
And
to
so
you
to be
wholeheartedly.
able to
Yep.
say, like, if men, I've had men say before, I just told this story the other night. I was staying with a friend of mine after I moved back into town, and I was in their basement, and she is not, I'm emotional. I'm an emotional person on one extreme. She's less emotional on another extreme. And she is who she is. But her boyfriend at the time, who was also living in the house, had seen that I was crying. I was having a moment. I was a really shitty day at work. I hated my job. And she texted me. So it was her husband that saw me. She texted me a little bit later. She was up in the other room. They were always so good with my privacy and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like squatting in their house. But she texted me, she's like, "Are you okay?" And I text her back, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Why?" At this point, I'm down there finishing up my Culver's burger, and my fries, and I'm eating my feelings and watching Jeopardy or some shit. And I was good. Like I got all of the feels out, and now I'm home, and now I'm, in my comfies, and I'm back. And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. Why? She said, can I come down? And I'm like, sure. So she comes downstairs and she kind of was like rolling her eyes laughing. She said, he is not used to seeing women cry because I don't cry. And so when that happened, he came up to
Oh,
me
he was
all in
like
a panic.
worried.
He was
Oh,
he was like, Sue is crying.
oh no,
My
no.
friend just looked at him and said, well, did you ask her what's wrong? He said, I don't know how to talk to her.
Oh my God, that's so sweet though. I love that he went up and was like, I don't know what to do, but like, is she okay? Like, that is seriously so
Something, but
sweet.
she's leaking. Make it stop, you know.
She's leaking. See? But
And it
like,
was so sweet because
it's
it
so
wasn't
sweet.
him. It wasn't him saying, oh my God, she's being too emotional.
No, no,
It really was him saying, okay, this is out of my realm of comfort. I'm not sure what to do with this. I'm going to call a friend.
Yeah,
And so he went to her because she's my friend and she knows how
right.
I am. And
Exactly.
so that connectivity was there. That was empathy on his part.
Absolutely.
That was
It
an emotion on
was.
his part, you know.
Absolutely.
It
And
was really sweet.
it was reading the room that maybe you
Yeah.
needed support and being not sure how to approach that, but how beautiful that you would take it to his partner and be like, I don't
Yeah.
know what to do with this, but I think she might need support. Like, that's so beautiful and
Really
vulnerable to
sweet.
be that
Yeah.
honest too and be like, I don't know what to do with this. Like,
Well,
yeah,
that's just it. He could have walked away and not
oh,
because I
totally.
told
About
him,
like, I'm uncomfortable. I don't know what to do. So
yeah.
I'm just going to act like this isn't happening. I mean,
Yeah.
how many of us have done something like that where we're uncomfortable and we're like, that
Uh-huh.
nothing to see here. Like,
Exactly. And
yeah,
that's where it comes in too. Like, some people are uncomfortable being around men when they cry.
absolutely. You can
No,
totally,
people don't know how to do
absolutely.
that.
No, that's so true. It's just, again, I think if we wrap our minds around, there's so much work to be done in this. And I guess that's
Mhm.
really what I want you to hear me say today is there's so much work to be done in this area. There are so many ideas that are outdated. They don't make sense anymore. They came from a different era. They came from a different need
Place.
too
Yeah.
sometimes, right? So like back in the day, things were different. And I understand that, right? I can have respect and still say, okay, that was then, this is now. So how can we update our belief systems in this current space and time? And to watch for yourself where these come up and where they come up for yourself and honestly other women.
Hmm.
So, um, do you have any other things that you want to list? Otherwise, I'll go to action items. But I don't want to do that if you have other
No,
things.
I mean, because a lot of times these items too, or these thought processes, a lot of them just really are kind of enshrouded all in the same idea of
Exactly. Exactly.
feminine roles versus
Yes.
masculine roles. And because
Yes.
she can have babies, that's what she should always do with her life. And because she's a nurturer, she should be the one that does the cooking. And because she's the one who does the cooking, she should be the one who gets the groceries. And it's a lot of it is just enshrouded in the societal norms
It
and
is.
assignments that are put on us
Yeah.
from the get-go.
So we want to change that. Okay. Am I right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you're listening, I hope you're nodding along. I hope you're like, oh, yeah, been there, done that, had that experience or something similar. So, what can we be doing? So, action items. Take a long look at the ways that you think that continue to propagate these beliefs. So, what I'm going to ask you to do is something really hard,
I love that. No, yeah, I'm here for it.
which is, oh, shit, where did I believe this? So I
Uh-huh.
told you guys a story about a friend and a dialogue we had in the hallway about I was pretty or I was nice or whatever the fuck it was. And I bought it. I bought what she was fucking selling it. It took me to be a 40-year-old ass woman to riding in my car, crying, listening to Gabby Bernstein. Where I went, it wasn't even about me. Fucking A, 20 years, you guys. The wound took me some spiritual guru to be like, that's not about you. Jesus Christ, like, duh. So what I'm saying to you is we all fall into this. This
Yes.
isn't short-sighted, broken, stupid, none of that. It's just we live in it. So we don't even always recognize how we might also think things that continue to allow those beliefs to continue. Okay.
Right.
So I want you to really think about that. Where are your thoughts that might continue on accident to propagate these ideas? Where can you let go of some things and do things differently that shift and morph that into something that's usable, right? Because we all do this, literally. Okay. Perfect point. My mother. So we're almost the holidays. We're almost to Thanksgiving. We're recording this. And back in the day, my mom would have a holiday and she would be making a ginormous fucking meal. Okay. Does anybody have moms that do this? Okay. And literally there was a holiday. It's one of my favorite. It's like one of those like funny. It was funny, but it wasn't funny at the time. Moments where in her apartment, it's chock full of people. It's way too small to be housing this family for, but we're here and we're making it work and we're all right. And she's cooking like a feverish ash, whipping shit together and the mashed potatoes. And she sort of doesn't really want anybody in the kitchen because she's like,
Right.
a ninja.
Right.
Okay. Finally, it's done. And I don't know if she had said once or twice, like, hey, you guys, let's start eating. Literally, like, shrill. Everybody needs to eat or it's going to get cold. I mean, here we are Thanksgiving and it was like demonic entity, red eyes and like laser beaming into her. I'm like, we're adults, dude. I'm saying that I'm like, sweet Jesus, right? So just saying that, right, I have been exposed to these concepts where the holiday is stressful. It has to look like a certain thing. And so same for me is I can be doing something and like, why am I doing this? Where is the anxiety coming from that it has to be a certain thing or a certain way or everything has to be done? And I'm not blaming my mother.
Right.
But I saw this is how we do all the things and we do all the things by ourselves and we really kind of don't ever lose our shit till we do. Right. And so like, and she just made everything look easy. She just did.
Yeah.
So like, oh, Jesus, well, how does she do that? She just does it without blinking an eye. No, that's not how that was. Right. So I just think this is such a thing that even me, I will still be propagating the idea that I just have to do all the shit and have to have all the answers because that's what I grew up in.
Right.
Fucking lie. I got to check myself. Somebody's not going to do that for me. Okay. Well, unless I'm mentoring. What were you going to say? I'm so sorry.
Well, that's a residual, I think that's a generational.
Oh, it totally is. Oh, it totally is. It totally is.
That's a generational because your mom is in the generation, one of the first generations probably, where I have my kids, but I'm also getting up every day and I'm going to work.
Exactly.
And so now that focus is split, but it's not because you're still expected to do all the mom things.
Exactly.
Which the load is not shared. That's where that second shift comes in.
Exactly.
And that's the phenomenon that started probably when we were kids. I was because my mom was the only one of my friends' moms that worked outside the home. Nope, I lied. One other girl, her mom worked for a UPS. But everyone else, they were farm moms, they were stay-at-homes, they were, whatever. And that is a different mindset. So for them to do all of that food planning and all of that you buy the presents and you do all the decorations and you cook all the food. Yep. Not that having a family isn't detracting you from that, but you also don't have that time away for 40 hours of the week. Right. That's building up all of those other things that you have to do. Exactly. So then for your mentality because your mom probably grew up, I would imagine, with a stay-at-home.
She grew up on a farm in northern Wisconsin. So they were everybody worked together. It was teamwork because you had to. Right. Her mom did chores. Her mom did all that, but her mom did a lot of the cooking, and that was the arrangement, right?
Right. Like, exactly.
Grandpa's doing this stuff, and my mom's in the kitchen making food for all of us and helping.
And so that's your conditioning, and because that's mine too. I mean, and my mom did work outside the home, but she did come home, and I mean, my dad, God love him, he would grill. He would make grill fish and stuff in the summer. He would, because he would always catch bluegills and stuff, and that was amazing. But for the most part, it was my mom. It was
my mom too.
Always on her shoulders.
Same
and so then that is my conditioning, is to be like, well, I have to do all of that, and then you get to the point where you're like, well, why the fuck am I doing all of this? I'm working too, you know what I mean? And so cyclically, I feel like it's continuing, that mentality is starting to drop off. But it's still very, very prominent in the minds of, especially because we still have the older generations in our lives who are looking at us trying to be independent and thinking that we need to slow our roll.
Right. right?
So there's right now we're in a very interesting time because we have all these conflicting ideologies.
Yes.
Even though we can work our way down, we can, I'm Chloe, your daughter, obviously, her household is going to be very equal. We know this.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Because
and
she's not.
she'll talk to you about how psychedelic I get over the holidays. So just ask my kid over a cocktail sometime. She'll tell you. She's like, "Oh my God, my mom loses her shit at the Like, I'm not kidding." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm not that," because I'm not that comparatively.
Comparatively.
But
Right.
still, it's in there. I think I'm owning that. Like, it's in
And
there. Like,
she's
I saw
not,
it, but I want her to be better. I don't want
I
her
was
to
going
be
to say,
you
she's not
know?
going to be as tightly wound
Hope not.
in her experience as you are, right? I just feel like there is definitely movement going forward right now that is starting to kind of correct that
Yep.
and tip the scales to be more balanced at this
Agreed.
point.
Agreed. So listen, action items. Take a long look at the ways you might be continuing to propagate some of the concepts and ideas about women and what our roles are and how we are. And then which beliefs are the hardest for you to shift? So I want you to think, which are the hardest? Which are the toughies that you bump into and you're like, oh God, that one is so intrinsic. It's hard. It's really hard to like, if it was a weed, you feel like you have to like take that little pokey tool and like poke like 4 miles into the earth to get it out. Like there's going to be some that are going to be really tough for us. And again, it's just about self-awareness. It's not about judgment.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to invite us to take a look at those belief systems and see what we can maneuver. Cause I think there's a lot we can work with and we can start shifting, but we have to be aware of it in the first place. So shout out to women. I'm going to give mine. I'm going to say that I actually, you know what? I went first. Sue, do you have, spirit. You go first. If you have your person, go first and I'll wrap up with mine.
So I'm going to circle back to the beginning of this conversation and I'm going to do a shout out. I'm not going to call her out just because we're not like friends, but I'm going to call out the girl who bullied me.
Okay.
And I'll just give her initials. Her initials are MB, as in Megan Bauer. So, yeah, just for her, I know it's been 5 years in the making. It's not like we're besties or anything like that, but just for her to get to a point in her life where maybe she's, maybe she's at more peace. Maybe she has like a different, clear understanding of like the treatment of people and and that her wound is healed,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we all have them. And
Yeah.
so sister to sister, I'm definitely saying a shout out to her just because it is a connection, I guess, that we have given the fact that we were, in the same space together and it was not as enjoyable for me as it may have been for her. Assuming she enjoyed bullying me, which I don't think she did. I don't. I really don't. I believe that it was a reaction to a very painful personal experience
I get
that
that. I
she
love
probably
that.
didn't understand what she was going through at the time.
No, agreed. I'm going to piggyback on you and just give a shout out to any of the women that have shown up and apologized for their actions against me as well. Thank you for doing that. It really does make a huge difference. Sue and I are so very clear about the healing powers of that. So I'm not going to give a shout out to specific people, but thank you to the women that have done that for me as well, because it was really healing. My shout out's going to go to my niece, who is right now in a space in her life. And she's like, I just really don't think I want children. And I want to give a shout out to her for being brave enough to stand in that wisdom. That's what feels in alignment for her. She's an incredible human being, so bright, so capable, and her worth is not dependent on her having a child ever.
Mm-hmm.
And she's an incredible dog mom. She is a brilliant fucking light in this world. She has been one of my biggest cheerleaders in my entire journey in my life. And so to me, for Shayna, just I want to send her so much love and gratitude for being one of my biggest inspirations for who I am and how I show up in my life. And one of my biggest cheerleaders, and for fucking standing in her goddamn authenticity. I
Love
am
it.
proud because man, it's easy to back off of that. So those are our ladies for this time. Thank you so much for showing up and sharing time with us. We're so grateful. We love you showing up. And we hope that you will, of course, follow, like, subscribe, review, please. We would love reviews if you're willing to do them for us. That really matters. It goes a long way in getting us in front of other people. And by God, listen, if you're revolutionary, share this shit with your sisters. I don't mean your biological ones. please go out in the world and have women join these conversations. Please be like, hey, besties, you guys have to check out these crazy bitches that are talking about female revolution. Please go take a listen because it's good stuff. It's powerful. And even when you don't agree, hopefully we're helping you grow. Right? That can be a teacher too. I receive that, even if I piss you off a little, right? I said earlier when we started doing this. So please just know we're grateful that you're here. We are so grateful for reviews because that goes a long way. And then please, please revolutionize this experience by sharing with other powerful women. So thanks so much, everyone. And we can't wait to catch you on the flip side. Take care.
Bye.